Really little interesting quirk of events, but probably totally coincidence, but I thought it was novel to mention it. So in one of the Christmas Doctor Who specials, they've got this character called the Captain, who they find outside a spaceship, basically banging against the side of the spaceship with like a hook next to them. They apparently like fastened themselves outside the spaceship, but we're kind of like banging against it, and they were making a noise. They didn't know what noise it was, but this character, the Captain, is basically based like on a sort of like chess piece, like a horse sort of chess piece sort of character shape, almost like a knight. There's a hook here. I don't think they were attached to the hook. I think they were meant to have just been floating in space, but some sort of gravity field apparently was banging them against the side. But there was still the hook there next to them. I don't know, but I think it was the hook that was making the noise. This is a picture someone's drawn. This is not actually from Doctor Who, but this is just like an impression that someone's drawn of it. So it was also, I don't know whether like the point, well, my interpretation of the point of in the movie, like not in the story of the programme, but like an additional kind of like, you know, a creative point of the writer, almost like, you know, gesturing at what is the point in knights, you know, what is the point in having a knight, like a knight of the realm, to get knighted. The word seems to be like to represent, you know, actually when the sun goes down, the period from when the sun goes down to when the sun comes back up again, sunrise and between sunrise and sunset. It's like one night. Why do we even call a night a night? And, you know, when they get knighted, they kneel down. There are various different interpretations you can have to it, whether it's some sort of ceremonial religious sacrament that is meant to be bestowed on them, or whether it's just basically pledging allegiance to the ruler. But knight's position and role has always been like a military role, and commander, which they usually used to train for. So, you know, I thought it was quite interesting that they got this character called the Captain, you know, but a captain, but a knight. And you've also got, it made me think of space and knights. It made me think of Jean-Luc Picard, you know, Patrick Stewart, who's been knighted and was a captain of the Enterprise. You know, it kind of made me think of that. I don't know if it's meant to be some sort of joke or pun in there. But what happened after this programme, just after this programme was broadcast at Christmas, they announced that the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, was going to be knighted, which I thought was quite funny. I don't know whether or not Charles had been planning to knight him for a long time, but it just seemed quite funny and interesting that you've got all these chess pieces like, you know, rook, bishop, and so forth, that you've got these like different, you know, rook, bishop, these different persons that are also like chess pieces, and it's also mocking the knight, and then they said they're going to knight Justin Welby. I kind of like, you know, maybe Charles has been planning it for a long time, but, you know, I find it ironic that you are combining these different roles into one person, and the fact that, you know, the head of the church is meant to believe in forgiveness and peace and not killing, you know, thou shalt not kill, yet he's being appointed to a position that is ceremonially supposed to be a military commander and symbolises, you know, having a sword and armour, which is, you know, I thought they got rid of, or the Pope meant to have got rid of the Knights Templar. I thought it was interesting, but my response to this, I thought it was quite funny, the response to it, and I came up with a bit of artwork. I come up with this chess piece, which is like, I started thinking, well, what happens when you merge two chess pieces together, like a knight and a bishop? And one of them I thought was like, you know, a knight in a castle was like a horse crashes into the castle and it runs into it when you combine them together, like a crash. You know, it's like a crash. For the Justin Welby knighthood is more like a crash. You know, how can you have someone who's meant to be forgiveness and thou shalt not kill, yet, you know, a military commander as a knight, symbolically? And then I was kind of thinking of like, you know, the kings, like what, like, you know, a king. If you move a king next to a king, you automatically sacrifice yourself because you can only move one move. So you can never. A king can never take a king. It always has to sacrifice itself to another king. It's impossible for a king to beat a king without sacrificing itself. I thought that was quite interesting. There were some other interesting mergers of chess pieces combination together. But I thought my favourite joke was the whole fact that we've got, the crosses on the flag. And apparently according to there's a channel on YouTube that does loads and loads of videos about Wales, ancient Wales. And he was doing a video about the flag, the dragon flag and where it originated from. And apparently kings of England used to use it way back. So it was actually used as a flag by kings of England, not just Wales. So they only adopted the cross later on, which is more to do. The cross is more to do with the Crusades, I think, more to going over to the Middle East and something to do with merger of cultures. It doesn't go that far back further than, I don't really think, the medieval periods. So I thought it was quite funny with, where the king has this cross symbol, and it's also the symbol of the church for the Christian religion. So I kind of did this. I thought it's ridiculous that Justin Welby kneels before the king when he's already laid flat on the floor, prostrate, fully out for the count for being made a archbishop. Even though it's a different branch of Christianity to the Pope Francis. I mean, who does the Archbishop of Canterbury lay prostrate to if the king's head of the church? And then, if he's laying down full flat on the floor, hasn't he already gone a step further than being knighted? I thought it was kind of funny, the whole thing, like, who, unless it's the other. I don't really know too much about the Church of England, but I just thought the concept of, who's the head of the church, I thought, going down to a bishop's meant to be going higher ranking and further down than a knight. So it seems ridiculous that you would be bestowed with a lesser rank. It just seems stupid. So I came out with this, but it's sort of like smackhead. Who's the head of the, if you get hit by a sword, on the shoulder when you're knighted, who's the head of the order? Because I thought it was funny, like a smackhead, and then I thought it was the poppies was quite funny. So I just did Justin Welby kind of very happily spaced out on the floor, like train spotting or something. He's gonna take a large dose of something and just being out for the count. I thought it was quite funny, but the thing is, so why am I mentioning these little quirks? Well, this actual picture here of the king, I actually borrowed it from another picture. Hold on a second. So I actually copied that. This is where I got the picture from. It's like a card series. I don't have all the series, but this is like Peril in the Water with a sea monster. And then this is this is Knighted by the King of Copenhagen. It's just from a collection of stickers, and I kind of like this one, but when I was thinking of Justin Welby being knighted, I thought of this because it's got the cross on the top of it. It's a little bit like the tapestry from the Battle of Hastings, but it's King of Copenhagen, Denmark. So what the quirk is that I did that Justin Welby picture and based it on this sticker of the King of Copenhagen getting knighted. Someone getting knighted by the King of Copenhagen. And then what actually happens is the Daily Mirror actually do this story yesterday. 175,000 people asked, why do the royals exist? And apparently the results came in. Apparently, according to the Mirror, they're saying that people don't think that the royal family are very popular anymore. Actually, it's ironic because I never buy the newspaper. I just usually look at the front cover. But my brother came in and he was wanting some newspapers for some sort of game for New Year's or something, which was just completely and totally random. That doesn't happen. I ended up giving him a newspaper. Well, I've got quite a few newspapers, but I need most of them. I only have them if there was something in the newspaper It's very, very rare that I get a newspaper unless like I've had an advert in it or something like that for the campaign and I want a copy of it, or there's a story that's relevant to the campaign. But I haven't bought any newspapers for about a year or two. So my brother comes in and wanting a newspaper, and then so I go afterwards, after he's left, on the same day, I go in and there's this story headlines about, you know, people not liking the Royals. So that's like for once I was interested in that. So I bought it to take a photograph of it to show people. I thought, like, you know, the Republic campaign, Graham Smith would be interested in it as well, but he's probably already seen it. In fact, his campaign's probably contributed towards the lowering of the popularity. But so there's this in the newspaper, you know, people not really enthusiastic about the royal family anymore. And then the day after, so we've got then this Queen Margaret II abdicates. I don't really like watching GB News, to be honest, anymore, but I noticed this popped up. Can't really stop it from popping up. Even more, I wish I could get Boris Johnson out of the news. So we've got this Queen Margaret II abdicates, Queen of Denmark. So Queen of Denmark abdicates, which I thought was that, you know, that doesn't happen every day. So this is like the main quirk. I know like the rest of them are kind of like, but this is like, you know, the reason that I got this sticker out, which is, you know, the knighting by the King of Copenhagen with Denmark, in response to that Justin Welby knighthood, which I thought was a response to the Doctor Who knight thing, like what is pointless positions and pointless characters. Then the actual Queen of Denmark actually abdicates, which, you know, when do you ever pull a sticker out of, you know, the monarch of Copenhagen to do with, you know, knighting and ranks, and then the actual Queen of Denmark abdicates? I thought it was quite a novel coincidence. But the point is, I don't know if Republic UK will like it, because all it proves is that, you know, what's the point? Because if the Queen of Denmark abdicates, then it's just apparently gone to her son. So what was the point in that? I mean, it doesn't really do anything towards, you know, abolishing royal families. I mean, how many of them need to abdicate until there's none left? And then does it go on to the ranks of, you know, does the Archbishop become the king? You know, after you've used up all the earls and viscounts and, you know, the rest of the royal family, I mean, you know, can you get back onto, you know, what's the point in the Archbishop? And then you go through the House of Lords and then onto the Knights, you know. But what I was thinking is, I kind of thought that, you know, Graham Smith from Republic would find, I mean, what would Graham Smith do if Charles did abdicate? Because what's the point? Because, you know, it's not really getting rid of the royal family, is it, or removing them? It's, you know, it would just be William. I can't really see the Republic.org.uk having as successful campaign against William, because William tends to be more likeable generally than Charles. I mean, I think they've got it. I think Republic campaign at the moment have got it good because Charles is not necessarily the most likeable of the royals. But if it was William, I think that it'd probably be a more difficult campaign, really, because, you know, William's more popular with, you know, footballers and culture and, you know, the whole David Beckham link, which kind of gives him a bit of a lot more trend. He's a lot more trendy and likeable, at least, than Charles, I would say, you know. So, I mean, what is the point of abdication, you know, unless they haven't got any children? You know, some kings in history of England didn't have any children, so it won't go to anyone, you know. So, and then you've got all the history of bouncing around between Scotland and England when you've got separate monarchs and so forth. So, I don't know. You know, Keir Starmer at one point, I don't know if he's still got this policy or not, or whether he scrapped this policy, because I haven't checked, but he said he was going to abolish the House of Lords, which is the seat. It's basically the political seat of the royal family is in the House of Lords because they sign off all the legislation when it's passed. And then, what is the point of people like Liz Truss making honours lists of, the owner of Weatherspoons pubs? It almost seems ridiculous, like Weatherspoons versus, swords and lances and silver spoons, and it just seems ridiculous. What they're going to do if they do abolish the House of Lords with all these, with the whole peerage, if it was to be dissolved. Anyway, sometimes I like to think that there are some characters in the House of Lords who are worth having there, but then, if most of them have come from these type of rewards and honours where it's all to do with greed and excess and profits, then, maybe it is pointless. I don't really know exactly how Graham Smith is hoping to achieve his goal with the abolition of the monarchy anyway, whether it's just by legislative change or whether he's supporting Keir Starmer's policy or what, or whether he's just wanting it by petition and have a referendum on it, to dissolve it. But I thought it was an interesting move anyway from this Queen of Denmark. It's not often when someone pulls out a Monarch of Copenhagen card, and then the next thing the actual monarch abdicates. It's rare for an abdication, so I thought it was quite a novel occurrence. And the only reason that I pulled that card out and used it was because of that Archbishop of Canterbury being knighted. Because like double chess pieces, like hybrid odd chess pieces that can't really properly exist. And then I thought it was interesting with the chess piece that are the two kings, when you can't actually have a king. King can't take a king; it has to sacrifice itself to another king. So I thought it was just worth mentioning, a novel little turn of events, really.